The flight was routine, until one crew member decided humiliation was part of the service. In the narrow aisle of Flight 732, a young black woman stood frozen as whispers spread like wildfire. "Sit down or face removal," the attendant barked, loud enough for every passenger to hear. Cameras turned. Judgments followed. But she stayed calm, saying nothing, just memorizing every face that laughed. Hours later, the world would know her name, her title, and her power. The same woman they mocked in the sky was about to bring an entire airline to its knees. The seatbelt sign had just turned off when a quiet voice shattered the calm. "Ma'am, you can't stand here. Return to your seat immediately." Every head in the cabin turned. A young black woman, calm and collected, stood in the aisle stretching her legs. The flight attendant's sharp tone sliced through the air again. "I said sit down. Now." The woman blinked, confused. "I'm not blocking anyone. I just needed a moment." But the attendant had already decided what this moment would become. Passengers whispered. A man snickered. Some people always think rules don't apply to them. The humiliation came not from what she did, but from how she was seen. Another attendant joined in, arms crossed. "If you can't follow instructions, we'll have to report you to the captain." The woman's hands trembled slightly, but her voice stayed steady. "Please don't raise your voice. I'm not refusing anything." "Then sit," the attendant barked. Phones came out. The sound of cameras clicking filled the aisle. A mother covered her child's ears as if discipline were a public show. The woman sat, not out of submission, but calculation. She looked at the attendants, memorizing their faces, their name tags, their tone. Hours later, when the plane landed, she was escorted out, not for what she did, but for what she represented. The video hit social media before baggage claim. The caption read, "Black passenger causes scene on flight." But the truth had another author. The same footage showed the attendants yelling, threatening, and mocking her as she stayed silent. Outrage spread. By morning, it had 40 million views. Her name began trending before anyone even knew who she was. 3 days later, the world found out. At a press conference packed with reporters, the woman stepped up to the podium, calm and poised. Flashes lit the room. "My name," she began softly, "is Dr. Amara Kingsley." Gasps rippled across the hall. "I'm a genetic scientist," she continued, "and I just returned from presenting research that could save millions of lives." Her tone sharpened. "But on my way home, I was told I didn't belong. I was told to sit down, stay quiet, and know my place." She paused, letting the silence bite. "So I did sit down, so the world could stand up." Behind her, screens played the now infamous video. The attendants' voices echoed through the speakers. "We'll have you removed. You people always think you're special." Each line struck like thunder. Amara took a breath. "That's not airline policy. That's bias wrapped in uniform." Reporters scribbled furiously. She continued, voice rising, not in anger, but conviction. "I am not pressing charges. I am pressing change. Today, I am launching the Sky Justice Initiative, a legal fund for passengers who've been profiled or mistreated in the air." The room erupted in applause, but she wasn't finished. She held up a letter. "This is from the airline's parent company. They've terminated the attendants involved, suspended management, and agreed to mandatory bias training across all flights." A journalist shouted, "Dr. Kingsley, how did you stay so calm during that flight?" Her lips curved slightly. "Because I knew silence can be louder than rage. When arrogance exposes itself, all you have to do is let it speak." That line became a movement. "Silence Speaks" trended worldwide. Talk shows replayed her press conference. Activists quoted her. Even rival airlines began revising policies overnight. But what struck the public most wasn't her power. It was her grace. In an interview days later, she was asked whether she forgave the attendants. "I don't carry hate," she said simply. "I carry purpose." When asked what she'd say to them if she met them again, she smiled. "I'd thank them for reminding me that the louder prejudice gets, the more powerful dignity sounds." Weeks later, the airline released an official apology and pledged a multi-million-dollar donation to her foundation. Dr. Kingsley refused to take a cent. "The money isn't the lesson," she said. The mirror is. Her story became required ethics material in aviation schools. Universities studied the viral clip as an example of bias in authority dynamics. Months later, at a United Nations conference, Amara closed her speech with a quiet nod to that day on the plane. "They wanted me silent," she said. "Instead, they amplified my voice. Sometimes, the only seat worth taking is the one they told you to leave." The audience rose to their feet. Cameras captured the moment, a mirror of her humiliation, now turned into triumph. Outside the hall, a poster displayed her image beside. Her quote, "When they silence you in one room, speak loud enough for the world to hear." And beneath it, the logo of her foundation, Sky Justice Initiative. Back home, one of the flight attendants, Kyle, watched her interview replay on TV. He'd been part of the crew that day. His career was over, but his guilt had just begun. He replayed the video, eyes glassy. "We didn't even listen," he muttered. A month later, he applied to volunteer for her foundation, helping new trainees learn empathy in crisis response. When the application reached her office, Amara approved it quietly, writing 2 words on the note, "Growth accepted." Because true justice, she believed, wasn't destruction, it was transformation. And as she stepped onto another plane weeks later, passengers looked up, then smiled in recognition, not with judgment, but respect. This time, no one told her to sit down. The captain himself stood at the door, hand over heart. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Kingsley. The skies are safer because of you." She nodded. "Let's keep them that way." The door closed. Engines roared. Above the clouds, where humiliation once lived, justice now soared. Because when truth flies, arrogance crashes every time. If you believe silence can shake empires, prove it. Like this video, share it everywhere, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what moment hit you deepest. Subscribe today and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that expose arrogance and celebrate unstoppable dignity.